Okay. Okay, we are live and good afternoon. We want to thank everyone that's tuning in. I am Dr. Jacqueline King, as you know, the founder and CEO of Black Women Empowered Incorporated. And we endeavor to empower people spiritually, professionally, and personally. So today we have Mr. Troy Hippolito, who is an expert in LinkedIn. So first of all, how are you doing today, Troy?
Oh, good, good. Busy as usual, but very excited to be on your show. So I do appreciate it.
Good. We're excited to have you. So first of all, introduce yourself and tell a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So as you said, my name is Troy. Last name's Hippolito. My dad's Filipino. So thanks, Dad. I previously was in IT, and I was a designer and a developer, and that went really well. And I switched careers to LinkedIn. It was more of a need. I can kind of tell you about that a little bit later. And what I want to talk about today is just building relationships and kind of causing that spark and that action to kind of make you move forward and succeed. So that's my whole thing here today.
All right. So before we get started, I want to know what makes you an expert?
Oh, trial and tribulation. so, so I have a background in being in the Army. I have a background being a programmer. I have a background being a designer. And through my other company, we did a lot of gamification. Like I said before, it was going really well until it didn't. And I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. And the Atlanta, Georgia is a bit different than New York or LA on how they do business. New York and LA, they depend on agencies a lot, like creative work. And then we have a lot of fortune companies over here in Georgia. So they're more corporate. So what happened was they no longer use the agencies. They brought the people in the agencies in the corporate world, and it killed the whole agency model. So that means we couldn't get work. If I get most of my work through the agencies, and then to the Fortune 500 companies, they're all fighting over the same pennies now. And I had to figure out, like, oh my goodness, what I'm going to do? I need to get more business. It doesn't matter how many awards I have or what projects I worked on. It was just being difficult. So I ran into a buddy he was in Argentina. He moved to New York. And he was a competitor of mine, a friend. And I said to him, hey, buddy, my work is better than yours. So why are you getting all this business? I was just razzing him a little bit. And he says, well, I'm getting off LinkedIn. I said, really? And so I asked my buddy in New Jersey, he was a sales guy. He goes, yeah, all my work's coming through LinkedIn. I said, what? And he goes, yeah, it's all about building relationships. And I realized one thing. I was what you call a terrible dater. So LinkedIn is really about old-fashioned dating, getting to know people, getting to understand it. And I was awful because I have like type A traits. And if I see something, I just go get it. That's my whole life was like that. So if I want something, I'll go get it. But that's actually equivalent to me meeting the woman of my dreams and looking at her and finding her that she's gorgeous, everything I want. And I say, oh, I find you very attractive. I want to have 2 babies with you, right? That doesn't work out. If I get slapped in the face. And that's what a lot of people are doing on LinkedIn. They're trying to sell. They're trying to being very aggressive. They're not getting to know people. So I broke down the formula of old-fashioned dating on LinkedIn. And it worked really well for a lot of companies. It worked so well, I started a company called the Troy Agency. And it's taking off. And it works really, really well because it's an honest endeavor. It's about exploration. It's about understanding. And it's coming from a place of service. So when you help other people, you actually feel good, So why don't you have a business where you help people and help yourself at the same time? So that's kind of how the whole business started.
Wow. Okay. I want to give a couple of shout outs. Charlene, hello. Annette, hello. We thank you. Please share the broadcast if you're coming on. This is going to be really good information that you can use in your business, and probably in your personal life as well. So Troy, and I agree with you. I remember when I first got on LinkedIn, I didn't understand anything about it. And my son told me, he says, you need a LinkedIn page. And I'm like, what for? I got a Facebook page. He said, no, Mom, you need a LinkedIn page. So he put me a LinkedIn page up, and literally it sat there for probably over a year. And he got it up to maybe 35 followers. And for me, I'm very inquisitive anyway. So I said, I need to figure out how to get more followers on there. And so I duplicated what I do. You know, Troy,
Mhm.
my ministry is Christianity and motivation and encouragement, and it's working on other platforms. So I said, well, I'm going to try this over here. And that's
Mhm.
what I did. We now are over 190,000 followers on this very LinkedIn page that we're broadcasting on. So it is about relationships. And there is a big difference between LinkedIn people and Facebook. Talk a little bit
Mhm.
about that.
Oh yeah. So if you're selling widgets, yeah, LinkedIn is not the place. That's more of a Facebook place, you know. LinkedIn is about finding or building your career. It's about B2B, you know, business to business or high value services. So if you have a business where you charge someone X amount of dollars per month, that's more of the place, you know. For example, if I bring on a client, a higher end client, I charge X amount, and then I charge them every single month, you know, a one or $2,000. And so the concept is that I don't need a lot of customers. The concept, if I have one customer a month or two customers a month, I'm doing really well because it compounds. So if say you charge $1,000 a month, right? Or say you charge $4,000 a start and $1,000 a month. Well, if you get one new customer, you get that money, plus you get all the money previously. And it's like compound interest moving forward. Another way LinkedIn works out well are their events and stuff. And I know this is on LinkedIn Live as well, right?
Mhm.
I have something called the LinkedIn Events, which is similar to that, but it's more of a timed event, right? And so you can get audiences on large quantity that way. So the people that may not be able to afford your top line services, they can still interact with you on a larger scale, and you may have other services that are more appropriate for that audience. That way, you can make money in numbers. And so those are the two ways to really make money. Well, three if you count careers. A lot of people need to find that right job, whether it be remote or finding an actual go-in type of job and that sort of thing. And so that's the place for professionals in various industries. So it really starts out from people looking at your profile. It's not just a resume. It's more my LinkedIn profile is more important than my website. I don't even give out my website hardly. When they look at my LinkedIn profile, that's where I drive all my business. That's where I get a lot of recommendations. That's where people get to know me. And so it's pretty interesting on how all that works and how all of it connects together and how you can kind of create that spark to kind of move forward and kind of explore to find all these different opportunities.
Yeah. And so here's the dilemma, if there is one. People love Facebook,
Yeah.
and a lot of times it's hard to get them to switch to anything else because Facebook is the veteran social media. I guess if I had to come up
Yeah.
with a name, everybody started off on. Can you tell our audience why it's important to explore LinkedIn other than careers?
Yeah. So if you're starting a business, LinkedIn is great, especially if it's a high dollar business, if it's not selling little things. If you have X amount of dollars you're selling per month, if you're trying to scale up, those LinkedIn is really good. Now, there's nothing wrong with Facebook or Instagram or any of the social media platforms. I always suggest don't put your eggs all in one basket. You know, I suggest two: have a main and a secondary platform, and some people have three or four. you can't concentrate on everything unless you have a team like you. They may be able to distribute out better, but a lot of us are small businesses because we like to have put our hands in the cookie jar to make things happen ourselves. And so you really have to figure out, well, what is my business about? And is it appropriate for one platform or the other? For example, my IT services, LinkedIn, totally. You know, those are jobs that are 200,000, $1 million jobs and stuff like that. And they don't sell like that. They take 3 or 4 months to start networking and to close some of those deals. So it really depends on what you're trying to do for your business and how you're trying to grow. A lot of people use LinkedIn for actually networking for larger partners. So you could have you could have a business, but you say, well, with my partners, I can make a lot more money, So you develop these partnerships and these relationships where other people, like you, for example, you have an audience, and then your audience are trying to improve their lives, and you're providing components to help people get where they want to go. And by building those relationships through LinkedIn, it really makes sense because you're one person, and as a business owner, there's not but so many hats you can wear and do well. For example, I'm an award-winning designer. I was the top website designer in Atlanta several years in a row, and but I'm not going to compete with a younger designer that does it 50 hours a week. I have a business to run, so I know that my pride is not going to get in the way. I know that I may need a designer, I may need another writer, I may need another project manager to help me scale the business. And LinkedIn is a great way to find those resources, and not just resources, those partnerships. I'll give you an interesting story. I have 2 other partners. One is Ed Forteau, and the other is Jean Michel. Ed Forteau is an email guy, right? Email deliverability, and people don't understand how important that is. If you send a proposal out and they don't get it, that client or that potential client doesn't care that it's an email problem. They think it's a you problem, So email deliverability is a huge component of almost every business. LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it. If you're able to gather those emails, you need deliverability. Jean-Michel is another LinkedIn expert, but he's a different flavor. I'm more on branding, and he's more on SEO. And so we complement each other. And I said, well, I don't want to do all this work myself. So I'm going to have him do a lot of the work, and then I'll look over his items and add my tweaks and make it a successful project. And if it wasn't for those 2 people, I wouldn't have my show. I have something called the Troy Show. And so we have thousands of people registered that, and they're able to get some free content and free advice, and then actually have giveaways to allow them to move forward. So these partnerships are really, really important sometimes. And the best place to get them is LinkedIn.
Okay, that makes sense. So a lot of businesses that you talked about earlier, or a lot of people just go on and they just post their stuff and they expect that people are going to like it, see it, share it, and they're getting nothing.
Yeah.
What do you have to say?
Well, I think I have 5 tips, and my journey has been quite interesting because there's times where I made a lot of money, and there's times where I made nothing, and I was down, where I lost everything. And I really had to look inside myself to kind of pull myself up from the bootstrings and figure this out. Well, number one, partnerships, having real good people, friends that have your back, have a good network of people. So personally, I had to cut out a lot of things. Cut out I had a lot of ex-girlfriends try to come back. I cut them out. A lot of females. I had a lot of male friends that were negative. They weren't on the same page as what I wanted. More, I have a certain standard, and one thing is that personally, I have friends across the spectrum, black, white, Asian, you name it, gay, straight. I don't care if you have 2 women. I don't care if you're married. I don't care if you're single. I care if you're an honest person. That's my core value. You just be honest and do good things for good people. And that was my standard for connecting with clients as well as partners. And so don't do business with people that are going to do you dirty. They're doing stuff behind other people's backs and stuff like that. And so a lot of the fellas I was doing business with, they're out and they want to go out on a Wednesday night and they want to, go to the strip club and mess with the strippers and all that other stuff. I said, that's not really for me. I mean, sure, if it's a business thing, we can have a couple of drinks and see some eye candy and do some business. But there's a major crossing of the line there. So that moral compass is kind of what guided me. It's pretty lonely for a while, because you lose all your friends and plus I'm a single parent. My daughter's 5 years old. And so I went through a lot of personal change. And I wouldn't say I was a bad person before, but I was dealing with people that weren't good for me, So that's the first thing I did. I really changed who I wanted to hang out with. And as far as the tips, I had to understand who I was as a business with clarity. So that's actually my first tip. I guess the first tip is don't hang out with the wrong people. It's like getting advice how to be rich from a bunch of broke people. That doesn't work out. And or if you want to get married, getting advice of a bunch of single women. That's probably like not conducive of being successful. But then if you have a business, figure out who I am. Right. So with my clients, I have an onboarding document. It talks about who they are, what their business is and isn't, and how to target their market. So you got to figure out, what am I doing? What am I selling? Am I selling everything? I can do everything. No, you don't want to advertise that. I'm very good at a lot of stuff, but I'm the LinkedIn guy. I'm not telling them I'll make them the next video game. Now, if I pick up a client and they need a website or an app, I can accommodate them. That way you can get ancillary business through a main client, but you don't want to look like a flea market. You don't want to be the jack of all trades. You need to be that specialist in what you want to do and figure that out. So that onboarding document helps them clear their mind. And then the second thing we do is help them with their LinkedIn profile, SEO optimized, tell a story, make it visual. And so here in the States, and I'm guessing everywhere else around the world too, is we like reality TV shows. And the reason we like reality TV shows is because there is an element of change. There's a story behind it. Like I was sleeping in my car, but now I make $1 million. They wanted that story of how did you have this issue and you solve this issue as a human being, right? And of course, they want the visual stuff as well. And that's what we try to embody inside the profile. Now, we don't go too far off the reservation. For example, we believe in showing the scars, but not the wounds, So I don't ever put, really, really super personal stuff in there because it may not be appropriate for the platform. But they see some of my trials and tribulations, and those trials and tribulations contribute you to be a human. They say, you know what? I relate to this person. I tell them I'm a single parent. I tell them I was in the Army. I tell them that I switched a company. I tell them even the stories where I fire clients because they're not in line with what I believe. And so your profile is the main point or the main portion of they decide to connect with you or not. They decide to talk to you. They decide to move on to the next step. And of course, you want it to be very visual. But if you can get past the visual, the ones that read your information, they kind of know you, that know, like, and trust factor. And it allows you to pass what we call the litmus test. You remember those little strips of paper and they check and they dip it for the asset check Those are litmus tests, right? And so in business, especially on LinkedIn, and especially during the pandemic times, the litmus test is really, it's really simple. It's like, okay, I met Johnny. Let's say I met Johnny, right? And I want to do business with Johnny. Johnny will look at Troy and saying, you know what? I could have a beer with this guy, or a drink with, I drink liquor, but I could have a drink with this guy at a high-end bar. And you got to think that is passing the litmus test, because in order for one person to spend physical time with another, I'm not saying you physically have to go to a bar, but the concept of me having that conversation over drinks is a big deal, because who knows what they're going to say. They're going to give you some personal information. They're going to give some business information. They're going to trust you to a certain level in order to do that. So during these times in the pandemic, you're not just going to have a beer with anyone. Do you want to go out and have a drink with a creepy person? No, it's a waste of your time. It's not gonna provide any fruit, so to speak. So you really want to design your profile so people can get to know you, and you want to have a persona where people want to like you. They want to hang out with you. They want to trust you. They say, you know what, Troy's a little nerdy, kind of weird guy, but he tells the truth and he gets stuff done. And you have to know that you don't have to have the best personality in the world. And so the second thing is build a network of good resources and people. You have to connect the dots. Am I looking for a job? Well, maybe I should run a search on recruiters in my area. Am I looking to build this product? Well, maybe I should find the resources to build this product. Am I looking for influencers that will allow me to get my product out there? LinkedIn is building some personal relationships. Whether they do all the stuff on Facebook or Instagram or other platforms is irrelevant. It's how do you build that network? And a lot of times it's LinkedIn first, because sometimes Facebook is designed a lot for family. And so there's a lot of noise, sometimes Instagram is so visual. It's more about that visual interaction versus that personal interaction. The third thing is, well, if you have a product or a service or a coach or whatever you are, do not sell. I had a client yesterday and she said, oh, this is my sequences of messages sent out. I said, yeah, let me rewrite them. Which is why I said, because you're selling and all the stuff you're doing is spam. People get enough spam. So how do you reach out to people to be more authentic? So you want to promote action. You want to promote goodwill, and you want to engage and have them engage back. And that's a really big thing, is these people that always want to sell product. You know what? If you're good at what you do and people believe it, they'll buy your stuff. It's not an issue at all. People say on the sales stuff, I need 12 or 14 points of touch points to get a sales call, right? I said, well, yeah, but it doesn't mean spam them 12 times on the same channel, Well, why can't you just interact with their post? If someone posts something and you engage in the post and they reply back, and you do that 2 times and then send them a connection request, you've done a lot of good. You've shown that you're a real person. You've already, by looking at the post, it's a touch point. By liking it, it's a touch point. By having a comment, it's a touch point. By them replying, it's a touch point. So before you even send them a connection request, you already had 8 touch points. And then they get the connection request saying, hey, I enjoyed your post. Feel free to connect if it makes sense. That's another touch point. And you've done 2 things right there. You've increased your ability to be accepted from 30% to 85%. And then once you're accepted, you have moved the relationship down the line. I think the fourth thing I have is learn the basics of LinkedIn. And that's one thing that you kind of brought up. People don't know what the heck they're doing on LinkedIn. So they might want to take a crash course of just what it is and how to navigate it. what is my purpose, and then within my purpose, what do I need to do within LinkedIn? And there's a lot of things you can do, but the last one is, once you figure that out, create a simple process. Matter of fact, I'm giving away a document that's a repeatable process that you can pick certain things that you want to do that day, because you don't want to be on LinkedIn all day. Most businesses have between 15 minutes and 1 hour to do their work on LinkedIn, and they're out because they have a business to run, And so that's a good idea of how to start it. Well, if I have a little bit of time, what do I do every day? And then being consistent on that will allow you to able to convert. People love consistency. So those are my 5 tips anyway. So hopefully they're helpful. And if anyone wants a repeatable daily process, just connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll send you the document. But you have to say you got through the show, because I don't accept most connections, because I have to avoid some of the spam.
Oh, okay. Those are really good tips. And one thing that I can say, I guess we are fortunate as that we have partnered with you, as you don't take all partnerships. So I would say that we are blessed and fortunate to have partnered with you. So tell our audience a little bit about what they will receive from this great partnership that we have, BWE and Troy.
Oh yeah, we have a course coming up. I think it's about 4 weeks. I gotta look at the dates of that, and you can kind of put the details in here. But we've reduced the cost from, I don't know what it was. I don't deal with the cost too much. So there's $50 something down to 27 for your audience, and it's a
Mhm.
live course. It's an hour and a half. Jean Michel will be the primary speaker. I will be supporting him, and he will be talking about 2 things: careers and working from home. And so those are 2 powerful things I think that your audience are looking for, that we don't have in our current course material. Of course, we have a bunch of other courses that are going on, but we wanted to create this special offer for you and give you enough time to get people on there. So it'll be pretty fun. It'll be a Q&A section. It'll be talking about how to actually find the careers you want, how to set up your profile, things like if you're working from home, some things that are really important. So I have my daughter. We just moved, and we're still in Atlanta, but we just moved, and my daughter is out of school. And so I have to figure out simple things like how to separate myself from my kids because I need to get work done. And so I have to plan ahead. So there's going to be some things on there as well that'll be very, very helpful to the audience.
And also how to find those jobs for people who started. I mean, during the pandemics, a lot of people had to work from home, and now they're starting to go back in the office. And a lot of people have found out that they really do like working from home.
Oh
So
yeah.
you will also be teaching or giving information on how to secure those work at home jobs. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, definitely. What you're referring to is what we call the Great Resignation. So a lot of people are saying, I don't have to deal with the stuff of going into the office. I could either work for certain companies at home or start my own business, and a lot of it is really about just having a level of consistency, and believing in what you're doing and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. I can tell you something that's slightly related to this. Back in the day, I was the creative director of a company, right? I was working for a company, and I wanted to have my own business, right? And I had to, and I was married at the time. I'm divorced, and I was married for about 10 years. And during that time, my wife was saying, Troy, I really don't care what you have going on. Just come home at 5. I had no moral support or whatever, right? Good thing I'm hard headed, right? So I would work in the evenings to at least 2 or 3 hours, and I would block that out for my business and stuff. And before I could leave my normal job, I had to make equal amount on my side business. That way I had two incomes coming in before one dropped off. And I wanted to make that dream happen and secure certain contracts. And I did that. It took a year. So some people can do it in a month. Some people it takes 2 or 3 years. But if you have the desire to make things happen now, because of the pandemic, it's much easier. It's very acceptable to work from home as long as you're doing what you need to do and your product is where it needs to be. And so your communication style would be a bit different. When I found out that most people don't communicate very well, someone says, "Oh yeah, I didn't know you reached out to me," and I know they know I reached out to them. They just didn't reply, right? So the integrity issue. And I said, "Oh yeah, I know you got my texts. You got it. You just didn't reply." So you have to understand that not everyone replies the same way, and you have to figure out how do you get that communication flow, because communication flow will stop your money, and you don't want that to happen. So you need to figure out, how do I communicate in a way that everything is set up properly? If, for example, if you're doing a project and a project, has certain milestones in it, they're not always on track. It's not always your fault either. You have other developers who are doing this, or if you're doing clothing lines, you have materials being delayed and all that. But the biggest thing is to communicate. And so some of those things are not inherent to a lot of people, believe it or not. They won't say nothing and it's late and they're like, "Oh, this happened after the fact," and they'll ruin the relationship. People would rather know that, "Oh yeah, I have some delays in my materials and I won't be able to, produce this stuff. And this is the new projected date," and have that conversation, because you're communicating them ahead of time, and that saves relationships. So whether it's LinkedIn or anything else, I think the pandemic is forcing people to actually be better communicators.
Yeah. So it's interesting you say that. My son, um, years ago, he worked for a very large pharmaceutical company. I seem like I'm freezing. Am I freezing?
A little bit here
Am
and
I
there.
freezing, Troy?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, so he worked for a large pharmaceutical company, and they shipped his job overseas. And
Mm,
I remember him getting very depressed. He had just bought a house, him and his wife, and
mm,
his wife had given him a birthday party. I believe it was his 30th birthday party, and I went to the party. And she said he's very depressed,
mm-hmm,
because we just got this house, and so I sat down with a mother son, and I said, "Look, son, you have a skill." At the time, he was designing intranets. That's a big
mm-hmm,
deal. I said, "You have
mm-hmm,
a skill that nobody can take from you. You don't have to work for anyone. You can
mm-hmm,
contract and name your price, do whatever you want." He literally
mm-hmm.
took that and started designing MySpace pages. Remember MySpace?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Around
yeah.
Okay, he started
Yeah, I don't want to tell
designing
anybody how old I
MySpace.
am, but yeah, I remember MySpace.
I'm way older than you, and so he started doing them for free for famous people, and
Mm,
it got him hooked up with Steve Harvey, huh? And the rest, as I can tell you, is history. He still has his business today, and he does a lot of with some really high profile people. But you know what? One thing I always say is fear and faith cannot live together.
mm-hmm,
And if you let
mm-hmm,
fear stop you,
mm-hmm.
you'll never get anywhere.
It can be very immobilizing,
So
and yeah, I imagine being depressed actually is important too. You need to just eh, go through it in order to get out of it sometimes. So the good thing with your son is that he probably has your willpower, your genetics, and he has you as well to give him good advice. And then he has the power to network. And so that's what he did when he built those MySpace pages. It sounded like he was networking. He was doing work, and he was getting in front of people's faces, and that's really important too. I've learned that you don't need a lot of friends. You need the right people in your life. So if you're working and you're doing good work, people will recommend you because they trust you. And then half of your work really should come based on recommendations. Oh, we got some questions coming in, huh?
Yeah, and we got some spam too.
Oh, is that what that is? It
Okay,
happens.
that's true. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm
the
trying to
chats for these
take care of
things
it
are
right
not
now.
designed for novels, people. Designed for short bits of information.
Right. So I don't know what I just did. Did I put it up on the screen, or did I
You sure
what did I
did.
do?
It's all right.
No, I'm trying to, yeah, I'm struggling here trying to.
There you go.
I did hide it.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. That's technology. So anyway, we want to thank everyone for tuning in. Share the broadcast if you know someone that is interested in our courses that we have coming up, or it's going to be really great. So I'm
Mhm.
excited about it because we're going to give out a lot of information, and there are so many people who are now thinking outside of the box. It used to be you have to go in the office, you have to do a 9 to 5, you have to work for somebody else.
Mhm.
Like you say, the pandemic has opened up a whole nother um, a whole nother group of opportunities for careers. When you say, Troy?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's changed a lot of people's lives for the better. Just how are you moving, and then what's important to you, and it allowed me to really look inside of myself, and just change it up. Beforehand, I was making really good money, and I started all over. Like literally, I started all over. And when I say I fire clients, I fired them, and there was money coming in, and I was like, look, I don't like this guy, and I don't like how he's messing up on these meetings. I don't like what he's doing morally. I don't even think I want his money. And of course, I'm not perfect. I have my own things in life, but I want to live by a certain standard, and enjoy that life, whether it's a little harder at first or not. But meeting good people like Dr. King and my partners and stuff, it's a great thing because you end up growing with that and just being at peace. And yeah, so that's one of the main things I look for is like, can I live with myself? Am I going to be peaceful? You know, um, um, because what I don't want are these emergency calls at 3 o'clock in the morning, whether it's a client or a girlfriend and that has some trouble or whatever. You don't want to deal with that craziness. It's like, well, maybe I should change my standard of what I'm doing, and I don't have to be nasty about it. I'm still a very nice person to everyone. I just don't have to engage on some of those things that don't bear fruit.
Yeah, and so, like I'm saying, with all of our followers, we really want to help you help yourself. So I will be posting the link to register for these courses shortly after the broadcast. It'll be posted on all of our social media sites, and you have something to look forward to. The price, Troy and his partners have reduced the price just for BWE, which is amazing, because we have a wide range of people. Some may not be able to afford the more expensive packages, so they have graciously lowered their prices just for our audience, which I am ecstatic about. So what you would want to do is continue to follow us and click to register, share the broadcast to all on your pages, to people who you know that may be interested in taking the course and are listening to this broadcast to get more information. One thing you said, Troy, and you already know we haven't been together that long, but you know I'm big on integrity.
Mm-hmm.
That is the thing. My daughter would say to me, Mom, she says, I've never seen anybody fire volunteers.
Well, sometimes the help is good for nothing, right? I mean, um,
But like you said, you have to get the right people and
yeah,
everybody. One thing about your vision, everybody's not going to get it. They
yeah,
weren't supposed to get it because God gave it to you, and either they're with you or they're not. It's just that simple.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes they just gotta get to know you a little bit,
Yeah,
And
but I'm talking about people who have been with you for a while. I'm not talking
oh
about a
yeah,
new. If they're with you for a while and they're still giving you problems on the vision or where you're going, then that person's not for you,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they're not for your vision.
Yeah, so I even with my partners, we don't all agree all the time, and I tell them, I say I disagree with both of you. I'll just tell them right in their face. I said, and this is why, and we'll get right back on the same page because you want a good group of people that will tell you what they think politely, but everyone has their place.
Right. We're
People
saying the
say,
same thing.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I will tell you what, I think the event that's coming up is Wednesday, the 23rd, is at 6 p.m. Eastern, and I think that's 3 p.m. West Coast time. And so I think you'll put a link on that. And if anyone wants to connect with me, I'll give them a free guide for a daily process. And that may open their eyes. On that guide, there's some videos on how to do some things on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so we'll be posting that. I don't have the link right here, but we'll be posting that on the pages. Actually, we'll post it in the broadcast where they can actually come back and find it, as well as we'll be sharing it multiple times
Mm-hmm.
uh, before then. So we want to thank everyone that tuned in. We really do appreciate. We have the best followers in the world. And we are on Pinterest. We're on LinkedIn. I don't know if you knew. I don't know if I told you we're on LinkedIn. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. I know you follow us on Instagram. We're on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, and yeah. So we're pretty much, and we're even on Tumblr. A lot of people don't know that. Vimeo, I think it's Vimeo or whatever that video.
Yeah,
We are on there,
Vimeo, the video thing is, yeah, yeah.
and we're on YouTube. So we just about got them all covered. Uh,
Yeah,
this broad.
you're networking pretty well. I tell you what, if any of the any audience had any LinkedIn questions or personal questions, I'm open if we have a few minutes. I'm just here to help.
Yeah. So, can you see the question? Can you see the comments, Troy?
I can see it, but I don't see any questions. There's
Right. So we just open it up. If you have a question, Troy's last name is Hippolito.
yeah, my father's Filipino, and I'm sorry.
Will you spell it for them so they could if so they
Yeah,
can
they
find
spelled it
you?
right.
Can you type it?
HIPOLITO.
Can you type comments?
No, I don't think I can. I can only do the private chat.
Let me see. Hold on
Yeah.
if I can do it. Okay, let me type it in.
All right. It's HIPOLITO.
Hold on that. Wait a
Mary
minute
has it
now.
right. Mary put it in the right. Yeah. So
Uh,
my
did-
father
did-
is Asian. He's Filipino, and my mother's from Switzerland. So she's blonde hair and green eyes, and my dad's like really Asian. So this is what happens. So, yeah. My
Okay.
my pickup line in the past was when I had the IT company was I was the number one Swissipino game designer in the world. That didn't
Wow.
translate well to LinkedIn, so I just said the not so boring LinkedIn guy to kind of tone it down a little bit.
So you have the thank you, Mary Drayton, for typing that. I appreciate that. Um, so you are with the top guy. Again, like I said, if you have friends, family, colleagues, enemies. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding on enemies. No, I'm just, did you want to share this with? Please do so.
Yeah.
Annette has a question.
Yeah. Okay. So is there anything you wish you could do differently that you have done better, that would
That
have
you
done
would have done
better
better
for you
today.
today? Well, I don't. I mean, I think I've made mistakes, but without those mistakes, I wouldn't grow. I was married for 10 years. I love being married. Uh, the wife portion was not that great, but she's a great mother. I have some great kids. Two boys that are grown. I have a daughter that lives with me, and I have an older daughter. So my single parent, being a single parent, was actually a blessing. It helped me with my sanity. People say kids make you crazy. It was kind of opposite for me. My kid made me think, you know, I've already lived my life, but my kid has not, so I need to do better for her. And so that actually put things in perspective, because the believe it or not, I was kind of spoiled in past relationships and stuff. And I still like certain, I'm a certain way. But I also know what is important. Important is just doing good, being good, and working with good people. Of course, you have to have some skill behind that, and you have to have that drive to convert. And one good thing about me is that I'm a human like everyone else. So, like when you said that, Dr. King, you said your son went through depression. Oh, I went through depression. My mother passed, my brother passed. Um, my business was not going well before, and then girlfriend left me. Lost everything, and I had to start all over. And so you need some foundations when you start over. And when you're all the way at the bottom, it's actually pretty easy to get traction, because you have nothing to lose, and you have to, like I said, find those right people. And people say, well, I did everything myself and stuff like that. Well, that's not really true. I mean, it's very difficult for the vast majority of successful people to do things by themselves. So it's okay to get help, as long as you're giving as much as you're taking. That's the most important thing. Find those good people that help you rise above some of the things that some of the issues that you're running across. And there's certain things you can't control. So the things you can control, do a good job at it, and figure a way out of it. A lot of us is connecting the dots. Is it appropriate to reach out to potential clients by sending DM, even if you have no prior connection? That is a longer question. I think that direct messages can be used tastefully, but if you don't really have a prior connection, you can reach out to use your like in-mail credits to reach out to people that are not in your direct market, or they're not in your direct first level connections. But those conversations are not client driven. And I don't really think anything you should send on a DM should be directed towards selling. It should be directed towards getting to know that person. I'll give you an example. Say you, and I mentioned it before, say you want to get to know this person, you want to connect with this person. This person is a good person to know, right? And maybe I can do some business. You don't really entirely know, but you might want to interact with their posts first. And if you do that, they will respond back to you. You're building a relationship. And you might want to do that several times even before you send a connection request. And when you send a connection request, you're connected. What do I do now? Well, don't sell. Thank them for connecting and then get to know them better. What I do is use, and this is one of the daily tips, on the day-to-day process on your app, your LinkedIn app. You could actually send a real-time video directly on their DM, their LinkedIn direct message or messenger. By doing that, you have spent a little time to actually engage with that person. So they see your face, they hear your voice, and all you're doing is welcoming them to connect, and you're talking about them. And I don't even talk about what I do. I say, feel free to take a look at my profile. If you see any dots that connect, I said, feel free to send me your booking link, and I will schedule some time with you. And so that way you communicate in a way where you put the onus on them. Because I didn't say, here's my booking link. Here's a link to do this. Here's that. You don't want to send unsolicited information. But if you send a personalized video when you connect, that's telling the other person that, wow, this person is really engaging with me. They're taking the time to do this video. They're not selling me, and they really want to get to know me. I think I'm going to get to know this person. I'm going to send them my booking link, or I'm going to ask them for his. And that way they're coming to you. Let's see. Yep. Engagement first. Thank you for vulnerability and sharing things. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. We all go through it. I haven't told you half of the stuff I've gone through. So
we don't have
I'm showing the scars, not the wounds.
Yeah, Troy, we don't have all day to.
No, yeah, we don't. We don't want to hear my sad stories.
But listen, I agree with you. So with me, I have 55,000 followers on LinkedIn.
On your personal page, yeah.
My personal page. And so people, I'm going to tell you what's a turn off for me. When people, and I don't take everybody's requests. I promise you I don't. But when I get them and I always look at their profile and see why we should be connected. I don't ever just accept it. I want to know, why is it a good connection for us both? And if I accept it and you come right in and send me a link to sell, or you're looking for a donation or whatever, you're gone. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't do it, because see, that's all you have an agenda. You're not really interested in us having a mutually beneficial relationship. You're interested in what can I do for you?
Oh, yeah.
And that doesn't work for me. So
that's the same dating. That's not old-fashioned dating principles. That's the I find you attractive, I want to have 2 babies with you method. That doesn't work very well. It's very rude, because they don't know you from Adam.
It is.
I will tell you this much. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm done.
I'll tell you this much. You want to come from a place of service. That means, how can I help you? That's how I think, because I'm not for everyone, right? If you need some help, and if I find out your issue is not a LinkedIn issue, it may be a business issue. I may have a business guy talk to you. If I find out it's an email issue, I may have an email. I find out that you need to create this app. I may or may not be a fit for that, but I may have a partner. I don't mind. I have a huge network, and I know a lot of people. So if you got a problem, there's a good chance that I may be able to help you with it. And so when I have a couple 15-minute slots a day for free slots to help people, right? And there's only one of 3 things that can happen in that meeting. I can help them and they solve that problem, and you put good energy out in the universe, right? Can never talk bad about you. They feel good, you feel good. Yeah, it's 15 minutes, it's my good deed for the day. The second thing is, they solve that problem and they're serious about their business, but they dig in there and they find out there's 22 other things wrong that only I can fix. They hire me, because I gave them something for free. I'm not asking for anything, but they need real help and they need someone to trust. And the third thing is, they can send a recommendation, or they can recommend you to someone else. Getting recommended is 10 times easier than tooting your own horn. It's much easier to close a deal with someone they trust. They trust that person trusts you, therefore they trust you. And that conversion is putting out the goodwill out there. Half my business is based on recommendation. It's not based on my skill. And you have to really think about that. How can I give for free without hurting myself? Well, 30 minutes a day, 2 15-minute slots, not a big deal. It helps them, it helps me, everyone's happy. And you have to come from a giving mentality. Whether I sell something or I don't, I really don't care. I want to solve a problem. And selling is a side effect of helping people.
Absolutely. Well, we have really come to the end of our time. I don't want to go over because I want to share the broadcast, and my platform will only let me share when it's an hour or less.
Oh,
So we want to thank everyone for coming on, and the link will be shared very soon. Be sure to follow Troy and sign up to get those classes. We also have another class that's coming on that's going to be on nonprofits and starting a nonprofit. Thanks so much. As always, you guys know I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks, Troy.
thank you.